Bonjour and welcome to another video. In this video, I'm not gonna show myself. I just got up this morning. I'm a mess and I don't want to show myself, so you guys are gonna be looking at a wall. My camera phone is facing the wall and you guys won't be able to see me. You're just gonna hear my voice. So I hope that's not gonna take anything away from the video. You guys don't mind staring at a wall, right? Well, if you don't, yeah, well, just gotta work with something. Okay. In this video, it's mass shooting related. It's a mass shooting related US video. And online, I found something from the worldpopulationreview.com online. I just found this on my Apple iPod Touch. And it shows school shootings by country in 2022. And I'm gonna add, I'm gonna mix it up a little bit, throw in some Winston Wu logic if I can, and talk about, not just school shootings by kids, also by adults. So I'm not going to exclude adults into this because mass shooters are both teenagers in their final years in high school and adults. So let me get right into this. Okay, it reads as follow. School shootings by country in 2022. School shootings are a form of gun violence that involves an attack via firearms and takes place at an educational institution, such as a primary school, secondary school, or university. While many school shootings are resolved with zero fatalities, many others result in gun-related deaths, and some are also considered mass shootings because of a number of people injured or killed by the attack. The United States has endured hundreds more school shootings than any other country in recent years. Individuals who commit school shootings are often influenced by deliberating factors that may include various forms of abuse, family dysfunction, mental illness, or other psychological problems. Common resources of motivation for shooters can include depression, suicidal thoughts, a feeling of persecution, retaliation against bullying or romantic rejection, or a desire for attention or recognition. While sources of entertainment such as films, video games, and comic books are occasionally accused of being influencers as well, these accusations are rarely backed by incredible peer-reviewed science. Okay, let's see. Where do I begin? Okay, mass shooters who are in school, high school, or a college/university, or just adults with a job in the real world. They become mass shooters through various forms of abuse coming from a dysfunctional family mental illness, or other psychological problems. And he added that it also includes depression, suicidal thoughts, a feeling of persecution, retaliation against bullying or romantic rejection, or a desire for attention or being recognized. And also, it also brings up sources of entertainment such as films, video games, and comic books. Well, okay, I'm gonna bring this in. I'm gonna bring some Winston Wu logic into this. Okay, okay, various forms of abuse. Okay, the abuse doesn't matter if they're in if the individual who will become a mass shooter. It doesn't matter if they're in school, high school. Well, it doesn't matter if they are let's see. Doesn't matter if they are in primary school, secondary school, or college slash university, or if they're adults. Okay, they going to experience various forms of abuse. Meaning the toxic society here in the United States, such as being yelled at, being lied to, being kept in the dark on everything. Well, scratch that. It's being being lied to, being yelled at. You know, okay, the abuse, like being someone being mean to that person for no reason at all. Like for instance, okay, you have a boss, and your boss calls you into his office, and he or she asks you this: "Where's that sign that I had you use to showcase the sales at our store?" And you tell the boss, "Well, I don't know where the sign is. While I was holding up the sign, a bunch of thugs stole the sign from me, and I ran after them. And when I ran through a corner, well, turn a corner, I was hit in the face by the sign. The sign was broken in two, and I fell down and I fainted. And I woke up. The sign was gone." And your boss says that, "Tell me where that sign is. Tell me where that sign is." "But I told you, I don't care. I want you to tell me where that sign is. I'm trying to help you." Or if you sit on the bus and you do funny faces to a child that's sitting next to its mother, or a daughter sitting next to its mother on a bus. You're on a bus full of people. You're sitting behind the mother and the child. The child turns and smiles at you and waves at you, and you wave back, say hi, hi, and you do funny faces to make the child laugh, and you do that and you succeeded. The child laughs at you, making funny faces at her or him. The mother turns around, looks at you and says this: "Leave my daughter alone. Leave my son alone." I said, "Ma'am, I'm just entertaining your son or daughter. I mean, your daughter likes me. Your daughter and son likes me. They just want to wave at me and say hi to me." And she said, "Leave me alone, you freak, or I'll call the police on you. You pedophile." Yeah, that's part of the forms of abuse from the toxic society here in the U.S. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's up close and personal. It doesn't matter if it's on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or Snapchat, or in comment sections on videos on channels here on YouTube. The abuse flows through there. And okay, family dysfunction. Well, being abused and being mistreated by your parents and siblings. Coming from being in a very, very dysfunctional family, Family members don't tell each other anything. They keep each other in the dark. One family member complains about it, and the family, well, the mother or the father plays it off as some just laugh at you. Others say that, what are you doing? Are you praying? If you're complaining, or something like that. Getting yelled at by the mother, getting chewed out by the father, being beaten if you do something wrong. That leads to the development of mental illness and psychological problems. So that's and well, depression. Okay, being depression. Being depressed and sad and alone, and a toxic, loop-sided, standoffish, mean-spirited society here in the U.S. Very, very toxic society here in the U.S. Have suicidal thoughts, and you want to commit suicide by jumping off a bridge, getting hit by a car, a bus, or a semi, or and blow up into a mass shooter and just go around shoot and kill people, turn a gun and shoot and kill yourself, or worse, get shot and killed by police. Yeah, feeling of persecution, being viewed as nothing, being viewed as being worthless. Retaliation against bullying or romantic rejection, or getting bullied by someone who bullies you all the time. This goes back to being in school, not being in the real world. Well, yeah, being an adult in the real world. Yeah, I think you'll go through bullying as an adult in the real world, not just being a kid in junior high or high school. Or romantic rejection, being a guy who being rejected, by a woman who doesn't want to be in a relationship with you, don't want to have anything to do with you. I had a crush on a woman who I worked with at this TJ Maxx store in Longview, Texas. I'm not gonna say her name. I had a crush on her, and I waited 2 years. I waited for 2 years. I first met her the first year I started working there. So I waited 2 years, and I popped a question and asked her to be my girlfriend because I had a crush on her, and she said no. And I said, well, I really like you. And she said this. Well, she said this to me. I'm very flattered, but I want to stay single. So I didn't get mad or upset or anything. I just let it go and just moved on. So yeah, romantic rejection, that can drive someone who went through bullying, the toxicity of society here in America, and through the toxicity between people here in the States, and family dysfunction with your family here in the States as well. And also sources of entertainment such as films, video games, and comic books. That's total BS. Entertainment, films, video games, and comic books don't drive someone to become a mass shooter. That's BS. That's something that that conservative Republican politicians like to bring up. That's total BS. That's not true at all. It's a lie. And it is. So, take out the BS causes, cookie cutter BS causes, dipshit causes of theories of entertainment such as films, video games, and comic books. I'm gonna push that I'm gonna take that out of the argument, which doesn't support this. Doesn't support the reason why mass shooters do what they do. So it's basically, bullying and romantic rejection, and in primary schools, secondary schools, colleges, and universities. Yeah, being bullied and being rejected by a lover. I feel like women just don't want you because you're a nerd, you're quiet, you're shy, you're not a bad boy. And being abused by the toxicity of American society, dysfunction within your family, they'll cause someone who doesn't have a mental illness to develop a mental illness. I'm not going to rule out people who are born with a mental illness and white supremacist people who are racist and want to go and kill a certain race and want to preserve the white race. I'm not going to rule that out. That's part of mass shootings. And psychological problems and mental illness plays into mass shootings, and all that plays into mass shootings as well. And also throw in, too many guns in this country. A lot of gun nuts own a lot of guns, and they inherited guns from their ancestors / descendants, great grandparents. Have this obsession with the Second Amendment in the Constitution, the gun nuts, over owning a gun and having right to bear arms. Too many guns. The NRA, corrupt politicians, and having a thought of, these mass shootings happen. More guns are needed. Give more guns to the police and arm the teachers at schools with guns. Yeah, that doesn't solve anything. Yeah, so you got those problems here in the U.S. of why mass shootings happen. But it's like this. I've been bullied. I've been picked on. I've been held down by people, and not being included on anything. Nobody tells me anything. I'm just in the dark on everything. Like for instance, okay, you're a person with a learning disability, learning issues. And after you graduated from high school, you're thrown on disability by your dad. You've been kept on disability from after you graduate from high school and all the way up to what you are today. You haven't been taught anything. Manage your bank account, pay bills, knowing how to use a checkbook through managing a bank account, using an ATM machine with a debit card or a credit card with a debit card. Managing a bank account, doing things that people your age are doing. You can't know these things because you have a disability, and your parents going to tell you, you need to save your money. You're sitting at home collecting Social Security checks, and and how are you going to save money if you're doing that? You're doing that and you have no job. You tell your parents you want to move to another country, and they say that, How you going to move to another country and they just bash you over your disability, saying, oh, you're never going to learn this language in that country because you're not going to catch on due to your disability. You're going to struggle. You're going to suffer. You're not going to succeed because of your disability. Because you're not going to remember what you've learned. And they just go in on you on that, and they're just too stupid to know that, well, okay, yeah, you got to learn a new language when you go overseas, when you move to another country, but you got to go through immigration. Before that, you got to have a job. You got to work. You got to save money in order to move to another country. You can't move to another country if you're sitting at home collecting Social Security money and taking part of your mom or your father's Social Security, and getting the daily allowance of money that you get. You go and just spend money on what you need. Yeah, being kept down and not being educated. Someone telling you you're not going to amount to anything. That's psychological abuse. That make you feel depressed and sad and angry. That'll make you a mass shooter. It just seems to me that, like I said in a previous video, like, it's like Americans here in the U.S., some of them, not all of them, it's like they just have no idea what makes a mass shooter do what they do. And a person who develops a mental illness, who becomes a mass shooter through all this abuse, do they know that they can help that person? But they don't see it that way. They just see that, oh, that person is the way they are. You can't change them. You can't help them. You can't do anything for them. They're just the way they are. No, you can help those people. You can help some, not all. The ones who are born with a mental illness, you can't help those. But the ones who develop a mental illness through this toxic, loop-sided, broken, inept society here in the U.S., you can help those people. But those people don't see it. But those people who see mass shooters, they see that a person who develops a mental illness, they don't see it that way. All they do is, just follow the active shooter drills, and they do something that's crazy and just out of whack. They check that person out, make sure that they're not going to do anything crazy, That's not gonna help that person, and they're just sitting back and letting a tortured soul just suffer and die. It's just sad. And it is. I might be come off as a nutcase by saying what I'm saying in this video, but I don't really care. And also, like, taking people like that, people who develop a mental illness because of a dysfunctional family and a toxic society, like, why? Yeah, take them to see all these mental health professions and a psychiatrist and take pills from a psychiatrist, and these pills are quote unquote help them cope with their problems. It's not going to help that person. Seeing a bunch of mental health professions and a psychiatrist is just a waste of money and a waste of time. It doesn't solve anything. And taking pills from a psychiatrist is not going to help that person. It's not going to help that person. It's just going to just make that person gain weight and make them be drowsy and non-responsive and sleepy all the time. It just destroys their health. It's just pure stupidity on that person's part. But that person who put this person up to make them see mental health professions and a psychiatrist and have them take pills, they think that they have solved the problem. They haven't solved anything. And it's like this. If you can't diagnose the problem, then you can't solve the problem. And Winston Wu, with his YouTube channel Happier Abroad, and his Happier Abroad forum online, Winston Wu as an individual, he's not perfect, but He has solved the problem. He diagnosed the problem when it comes to mass shooters and how the U.S. is. He diagnosed the problem and he solved the problem. People in America, they haven't solved anything. With bullshit and cookie cutter arguments. You know, when it comes to mass shootings, you got these independent media news outlets like the Humanist Report, Kyle Kulinski's Secular Talk, TYT, the Young Turks, and the Rational National with David Dole. David Dole, he's Canadian, he's from Canada. Those four independent media news outlets and the people on them don't have a clue what makes a mass shooter do what they do. They just view them as nutcases and lunatics. They just lump them all into one boat. And yeah, also, I care about those children in Uvalde who got shot and killed by the gunman, and children and innocent people in other mass shootings, their lives were taken away, and it's sad, and it's sad, because, America and those independent media news outlets just don't have a clue, and David Doe from the Rational National, he speaks more in truth because he's from Canada, but he doesn't go all the way like Winston Wu does. So, TYT, the Young Turks, the Humanist Report, and Kyle Kulinski's Secular Talk, they're garbage, and they are. And I sub to the Rational National and Secular Talk here on YouTube. I subscribe to them, and I do. But, I'm looking at Kyle Kulinski, he can be a little more knowledgeable, but, he chooses not to. But, I'm not going to get into that. But, overall, these independent media news outlets, these alternative outlet people just don't have a clue on what makes a mass shooter do what they do. And they don't care. And I'm going to throw this into this, what caused a mass shooter to do what they do. You got gaslighting. You got gaslighters who like to gaslight people. Make them question their own sanity and make them out as the problem. So you got gaslighters who are the contribute factor to people becoming mass shooters. Yeah, keeping close eyes on people who are suffering in a toxic society here in the U.S. and they have so much anger because of the toxicity and a dysfunctional family. I mean, keeping close tabs on those people isn't, and making sure that they don't blow up and become a mass shooter isn't going to help. Along with mass shooting drills and arming teachers with guns and arming people with guns, that's not going to solve anything. Okay, before I end this video, I'm going to read a listing of school shootings by country in the year 2022. Okay. List of countries and school shootings. Okay, the United States topped the list at 288, followed by Mexico 8, South Africa 6, India 5, Nigeria 4, Pakistan 4, Afghanistan 3, Canada 2, France 2, Brazil 2, Estonia 1, Hungary 1, Azerbaijan 1, Greece 1, Kenya 1, Germany / Deutschland 1, Turkey 1, Russia 1, China 1, Switzerland 1, Netherlands 0, excuse me, Australia 0, Argentina 0, Spain 0, Italy 0, the United Kingdom 0, Japan 0. On that list, countries don't come close to the U.S. when it comes to mass shootings. The U.S. is on top when it comes to having a high number of mass shootings and a high number of school shootings. And also, let me add this, there's a guy who I blocked on this YouTube channel. His name is forgot what his name is. He's from Australia. His name is Knowledge Variable. He's been harassing me and telling me to make videos about him, make videos about other people. And he's a conspiracy theorist wacko. He probably doesn't care about, what the problems here, what the mass shooting problems here in the US is. He just used conspiracy theories, whack job stuff, like the Illuminati and all this other crap. I think guys like that have no idea what the problem is here in the US when it comes to toxic people and mass shootings. So that guy's blocked, and I'm not going to worry about him anymore. And there's guys like him in other countries who are like this. But I ain't going to say that other people in other countries lie about the problems here in the U.S. Some are far off from being right, some are full of crap, and some just don't care. Yeah, someone said this to me on one of the videos here on my YouTube channel that told me this: you have a speech problem. Well, I'm going to say this: the U.S. has a gun problem. The U.S. has a mass shooting problem. Well, that's all I got to say in this video. Cheers and au revoir. Bye.